Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Well, good morning to you. Thursday. Nice day out there already. Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning. I'm doing all right. What's going on?
Now, we're doing a lot of looking in the news here today. We've got some good conversations to have as we get ready for the weekend. Memorial Day is this weekend, and Daybreak Show is going to go dark on that day, Monday, but we're going to have some programming from ABC about Memorial Day, memorializing all those fallen soldiers and a remember of all the lives lost during the wars over the years in the battlefields. Definitely a different time now with coronavirus, the way folks will gather and show their respects, of course. But you have any history of military service in your family?
I do. Quite a few. Several World War II vets, Korean War vets. My father was in the Army. During the kind of the Vietnam era, I didn't serve in theater or anything like that, but was here in the States. My father-in-law was, what do they call it? I'm blanking out here. I didn't have my coffee today. The paratroopers, airborne. Yeah, he was 51st Airborne. And yeah, quite a bit of history in the family. That's cool. My grandfather was a airplane engineer for the Flying Tigers over in the Pacific Theater during World War II. And my dad worked as a veterinary tech when he was in the Army, and so he was helping the German shepherds and things like that. Of course, he always told me that he would also be the one to administer the penicillin shots for the officers who left base, but that's neither here nor there between you and me. Oh, wow.
Now, today in the news, the latest on the COVID numbers for Mason County. Unemployment numbers are out, and they are high. Shelton police looking for 3 suspects in a case, and some more event cancellations to share.
I'll have the weather forecast for you. It's going to be nice. I saw next week will be in the 70s and 80s, so we'll tell you how the weather's going to look for the rest of this week. We'll have a conversation with Trudy Soucoup from Homes First, talking about their program in Mason County.
Also, a great story on how a small idea has made a big change, and it's National Waitstaff Day. Washington State's unemployment rate was a record 15.4%, and the state's economy lost over 500,000 jobs last month. It's the highest jobless rate the state has seen since it started keeping comparable records in the 1970s. April's rate, a significant jump from March's 5.1%, although officials did warn us that the numbers would more truly reflect the widespread closing of restaurants and other businesses that started in mid-March. February's unemployment rate was 3.8%. And the previous record in the state was back in November of 1982 at 12.2% unemployment.
Mason County Public Health reporting no change in cases of COVID-19 numbers in Mason County. According to their latest release, there are 6 active cases. Total since this began, 33 positive cases of COVID-19 in Mason County. The latest case demographics are 2 females, one in their 40s, one in their 50s. Mason County Public Health is continuing contact interviews, and to avoid exposure, of course, continue to follow the guidance of washing hands frequently and thoroughly, stay home unless essential to work, and try to limit your travel to only medical appointments, medication pickup, and once every couple weeks grocery shopping needs.
On Monday at approximately 4 p.m., 3 suspects entered the Shelton Safeway, suspects picking up a large number of alcoholic beverages valued at over $1,000 and leaving the store without paying for any of the merchandise. The store security officer confronted the suspects outside, suspects getting into a vehicle that was parked near the store's entrance. Once the suspects were approached by the security officer, they began yelling obscenities and threats at them as the security officer was standing at the open door of the suspect's vehicle. The vehicle accelerated and knocked the security officer to the ground, causing minor injuries. The vehicle proceeded to flee the area, last seen going east on Railroad towards 101. Information broadcast to neighboring law enforcement agencies.
The suspects were described to police as 3 African-American women between the ages of 25 and 35. All 3 suspects are between 5'3" and 5'6", weighing 150 to 180 pounds. The suspects were seen leaving the area in a white Chevy Impala with a dealer advertisement license plate. The Shelton Police Department would like to thank the citizens who stayed at the scene to provide statements and valuable information. Anyone with information regarding this incident is encouraged to contact the Shelton Police Department at 360-426-4441.
Some more event cancellations to share with you. It's kind of known that this is going to happen, but still important to remind folks. The Olympia Downtown Alliance canceling the 41st season of Music in the Park, the annual free concert series occurring in July and August at Sylvester Park and the Port of Olympia. Announcement comes from the Olympia Downtown Alliance Board of Directors. They were looking at the reopening plans, talking about how to keep the concert series safe for everybody, from attendees to performers to volunteers. They have partnered, the Alliance has, with the Octopus Cafe and the City of Olympia to present the Promising Note music series featuring local musicians performing on video. Series will be on the Olympia Downtown Alliance's YouTube channel. We're going to reach out to Skookum Rotary to hear what they're thinking. Music in the Park this year in Shelton. No word yet, but another big summer event also in the news.
Organizers of the longtime annual Seafair Festival in Seattle say its major events will not happen this summer. Organizers said on the event website Wednesday it will reschedule its major events to next year because of the uncertainty surrounding public health and safety, along with guidance from local and state governments. Events that will not happen this summer include the Blue Angels show, which is always fantastic, the July 4th celebration at Gasworks Park and Lake Union Park, the Milk Carton Derby, the Seafair Triathlon, Torchlight Run, Torchlight Parade, and Seafair Weekend Festival. Organizers say ticket holders for any event will be contacted with an email soon.
Yeah, the Torchlight Parade is always a beautiful parade. Mason County Royalty Court doing pretty good for themselves last year, picking up the hardware. Tough one for those kids, for everybody that's involved with all these events all summer long. Again, today on the show, Trudy Soucoup from Homes First, talking about their programs in Mason County. Great story on how a small idea has made a big change, and it's National Waitstaff Day. Good Thursday morning to you. Daybreak Show rolls on.
From the iFiber1 News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show via Zoom video conference, catching up with Homes First. It's Trudy Soucoup. Good morning, Trudy. How you doing?
Very good, Jeff. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Well, it's good to talk with you. Good to catch up with you. The last time we saw each other was at the nonprofit gathering at the governor's mansion. And that was an exciting time there to learn a little bit more about all the nonprofits in the state. Oh,
right.
Remember that?
I do. Yeah. It was. So I'm on the board of the Washington Nonprofits who hosted that. So, I'd forgotten. I actually thought the last time we saw each other was at the Mason County Housing Forum.
Oh, yeah.
The Peninsula Credit Union did. But
at the Alderbrook. That was a great conversation as well. For folks who are just learning a little bit more about Homes First today, give us an overview of the program.
So Homes First is a rental housing provider. This is actually our 30th anniversary year, so we've been doing it for a long time. We started doing some housing in Mason County in 2016. So what we do is we buy houses and then we rehab them, and then we rent them out to people. And we never sell houses. These are permanently affordable rental homes in your community. And right now in Mason County, we have a duplex with two disabled veteran-led families. And then we also have a single-family home that we're working with the Mason County Therapeutic Courts. So they have a place for people to go through their program and not have to be in jail. They can actually be in a home setting and have better chance to reacclimatize to their community.
Explain to me the benefits of the folks who utilize Homes First having that set rental monthly rent. I know that rents go up annually. Some folks will say 2-3% every year, and that can be a real struggle for folks who may not know where their next paychecks are coming. What's it been like to have that as the option for folks?
Right, so that makes a huge difference for them. So for us, we set all our rent rates according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So they tell us, this is how much a person in Mason County with a single wage can afford, or two wages or whatever, if they're making $50 50% of the area median income or 30% of the area median income. And then they tell us when we can actually put the rent up. So we don't, most landlords say, hey, my costs are going up, so I'm going to put the rent up.
Yeah.
Right? For us, we actually base our rent on what our tenants can afford. And the federal government tells us that. They do all the research, right? We don't have to do it, and they tell us what that is.
Do you happen to have those
and
numbers?
So that means that they have stability.
Of the 50% threshold or the 30%? What do you know what those numbers are in Mason County?
I cannot tell you that. So I'm the CEO. Excuse me. I'm the CEO of the organization, and I have a property manager who manages all of that because I'm doing other things like having interviews with you.
Sure.
So he is the guy who knows down to the finest detail of what that is. I should have been better prepared.
No worries. No problem here.
But what that does is it really it gives our tenants stability and predictability in their lives so that they know that they're just not going to arbitrarily one year their rent's going to go up by $200 a month. So they can plan their lives and be more successful, really, and have more hope for a better life because they know that their rent will always be affordable for them.
So just a few years, 4 years or so in Mason County, but I feel like I've seen you around a lot longer than that in the area, kind of talking with a lot of the stakeholders and explaining some of the needs for Mason County. How have things thus far been working in the other areas that you serve, and what was the response like when you first came into Mason?
I think there's always a little bit of suspicion everywhere, anytime we're going into a new area because it's such an unusual model. Even though we've been doing it for 30 years, it's unusual. Mostly communities focus on building new housing, but we've taken a different tact. We do scattered sites, so no one neighborhood has to have all of the affordable housing because there's a lot of stigma around affordable housing, whether that's legitimate or not. There is stigma around it. So so it took some time. That we were actually invited by another group in Mason County to come in and talk to the county about it. And there's some bumps every time you go into a new community, but I think we're on a good track now. And what we really want to do is do more of it in Mason County because there is a huge need. But one of the barriers for us to do that is finding other organizations who have the capacity to serve the needs of the tenants once they're in housing, because we don't actually do social service. We provide housing. So usually, like in Thurston County, we have so many partners that we work with. So we work with providers of adults with developmental disability services. We work with Oxford has clean and sober living services. We work with community youth services, so many different organizations. So if we have a tenant who has a need for services, the other nonprofit or the other, sometimes it's a for-profit, provides that support for them. And it's actually really beneficial because what it means is that we just focus on what we're good at, which is being a great landlord and taking care of those properties. And our partners focus on what they're really good at, which is providing the structure for the tenants, the service for the tenants for them to be successful. So that's a challenge for Mason County to get enough service providers who have the capacity to do that kind of work. So I'm always, you can talk to your county folks. I'm always telling them, if you want to do something to support housing, also you have to do things to support your social service nonprofits to make them successful and have the strength to be able to serve more people.
You have the rare opportunity for someone in the community to potentially join your board to help out with some of these things in Mason County. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So we're actively looking for some new board members right now. We have the capacity to have 15 board members, and right now we have 10, so we have some spaces available. We would really love to have at least a single board member, maybe a couple of board members from Mason County, because I think that it's really important that we represent all our communities that we serve. So one of the things that we do is that we make sure that at least 1/3 of our board members actually represent our low-income community. So if there's someone who has a lower income in Mason County and would like to come on our board and say, hey, this is what low-income people need in Mason County, that would be awesome. We're looking for people who have maybe some fundraising experience who could help guide how do we raise more money for Mason County to do more work. People who are interested in social media, maybe people who have grassroots connections in Mason County. We would love to have them join our board of directors to help guide our future, our next 30 years, right?
Homesfirst.org is the website, and there are ways that you can volunteer, find out ways to help, and just learn more about the services that Homes First provides. They are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. We'll put the links to this when we post this in the show notes. But a great organization that's been going on for helping out the community for 30 years and in Mason County since 2016. Trudy's the CEO, and it's been a good time talking with you this morning. Good to catch up with you and to know that everything's good for you.
Yes.
And everything's healthy and safe. And let's hook up again later, a couple months down the road, and see how things are working for Mason County.
That would be awesome, Jeff. Thanks again so much for having me on.
Good to see you.
You're listening to Daybreak on I-Fiber News Radio.
Hey, good morning, everybody, as the Daybreak show rolls on this Thursday morning. Morning, Spencer.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Today is National Wait Staff Day, recognizing the dedicated and often talented wait staff. And in this time of coronavirus, wait staff servers are big determining factors of your health, safety, and quality of your dining experience. And wait staff these days, too, sometimes are finding themselves as bouncers and security guards. If, for example, they are a wait staff at a restaurant that may or may not require face masks or, social distancing or things like that, and if a customer comes in irate about what's happening and they don't want to follow those rules, it's oftentimes the wait staff or that front server that sets you down at your table. They're the ones that are the front line of that. And I saw something the other day. It's not a wait staff per se, but a Target employee was trying to talk to somebody about a face mask or something, and the guy broke his arm. Did you see that?
I did, and it's getting out of control. I mean, people have to just relax and, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, they used to say when I was growing up. And it's their rules. They're a private restaurant, a private store, private corporation. And it's really no different when you think about it as the no shirt. We were talking about that off the air earlier. No shirt, no shoes, no service. You can't go into a Target barefoot. You just can't.
No. People have become accustomed to that. Every so often you'll get some yahoo that thinks they're above the fray, or they are trying to make some YouTube video or something that they'll go in like that. But we've all come together as a society and realized that nobody wants to look at your bare feet, or nobody wants to look at your shirtless body in the frozen food section.
Yeah. And the whole thing with the mask thing is, one thing is if you forget, one thing is it's not even a philosophical argument that you might have that you don't believe in the virus or you don't believe in wearing the masks. It's no different, in my opinion, as coming over. Like if I went over to your house, you invite us over, right? And your policy in your home for everybody is everyone leave their shoes by the front door. I would totally abide by that. I ask people that when I go to their house for the first time, do you want us to take our shoes off? It's a respect thing. Right. I mean, I would never, if you told us we had to take our shoes off, and I huffed and puffed and threw out my chest and said, you know what, it's my constitutional right to eat in your home with my shoes on if I want. I mean, you have a right to kick me out the door. I mean, I would never do that to somebody.
That's a great question, and I wonder if it's similar in the same respect of a business owner, restaurant owner, and their home too. You would go if you go into their restaurant or their place of business and treat them disrespectfully like that, the odds are, I'm assuming, that you would do that in their private home. I mean, and especially when it comes to Shelton, Mason County, small businesses, a lot of us, we all know each other. Yeah. So would you treat the person's home with the same respect that you treat? Listen, a lot of small business owners spend more time at the business than at their home. That is like their home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say there?
Absolutely, sure. Absolutely right.
Well, we got a little off track on Wait Staff Day, but it is kind of an overall important conversation. These people are the front lines, and we are all in this together. And listen, they want to be safe. They want to go home. Well, one, they want to keep their job.
Sure.
They don't want the place to shut down if there's an outbreak. They don't want to lose their job, especially when it comes to how precarious unemployment insurance is right now. They want to stay safe, and if they have a family, they just want to also stay safe. So the wait staff, whether you're going into restaurants soon, whether you're picking up curbside, you're doing the delivery, these are important folks. I mean, they've been deemed essential.
Yeah, and another thing that I'm doing,
businesses are open.
Another thing I'm doing is like with to-go stuff is, now normally I admit it's not being cheap. It's just kind of when you tip and when you don't. Usually when I order a to-go order and I call it in and it's ready, I don't leave 20%. I mean, if they hand me, right, the plastic bags, tied up with the takeout Chinese or whatever, I don't leave the same tip as I would if we ate there and we're served, for an hour or whatever. But now I'm starting to leave more of a tip. It's just something I'm doing because I realize that they're struggling. I realize that extra few bucks in their pocket that you normally wouldn't give them may help them. If everybody who picked up a to-go order thought I don't need to tip them, that could add up to hundreds of dollars a day that they're not making. So I'm just trying to give them that little extra push too.
Well, plus a lot of the folks, they pool the tips at the end of the day. So it doesn't just go to the wait staff. It goes to the servers, to the bussers, to the cooks, and everybody benefits.
Sure.
National Wait Staff Day. There are some great ones out there in our community. And if you happen to pick up some food today or start thinking about going into places as they slowly look to reopen, make sure you thank those folks. And if they're requiring masks, decide before you walk in whether or not you're gonna wear it, I guess. More Daybreak Show is coming up. Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.